What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. I am excited because it is finally time for the Champions League round of 16 predictions, and I'm also going to be finally offering tips for these Champions League games as well, because unlike the group stages, there aren't tons and tons of them, but there are some really tasty ties we've got to get into here today. Please do drop a like, subscribe so you don't miss any future videos on the Full 90. And I do just want to say I'm actually recording this a week before it goes up on the 7th, because for the entirety of the week upcoming, the week that you guys just had, I will be away, so I won't have time to make this video unless I make it today. So please, before you comment down below if there's any breaking news, if Messi or Ronaldo or someone broke a leg and they're not going to be in this fixture, there's nothing I can do to foresee that. So I'm going to basically have a look at these games objectively and see what I would say for these fixtures. So with that being said, let's get started. And kicking it off with a belter, we do have PSG up against Real Madrid. PSG just beat Lille 5-1, and Real Madrid, they've gone on not a little bit of a wobble lately, but they were so relentless for the bulk of this season that it's just been absolutely a joy to watch as far as Real Madrid are concerned, and they look really, really threatening. I've got to say, I've been really impressed with Real Madrid. Probably the team that's impressed me the most in Europe this year, not specifically the Champions League, but in their domestic leagues as well. I think Real Madrid look really, really good. So this was a very tricky one. I was tempted to go for a draw. You know what, let's change my prediction, because this is the home game. This is the home game for PSG, and I've been singing PSG's praises in all of my Champions League videos for the last few years, so I do want to give them the respect they deserve. I was initially going to go for a Real Madrid 2-1 win, but I've just looked at it, and PSG, I mean, it depends if they're firing or not, because they do have a good defense, they do have a good midfield, and they have a phenomenal attack as well. They've got Mbappe and Lionel Messi up the front, so they are a very good team. So I think I am going to go for a draw in this fixture, and I suppose we can see how it'll go. I think this could go either way. It could be PSG, Real Madrid, could be a draw. I'll go for a 2-2 draw. My tip, therefore, so that way I don't have to look at the result, because it's so hard to separate these two teams. My tip is both teams to score at 1.57. I think Real Madrid, they look very, very good, and they're really, really good in the Champions League, whereas PSG, not so much. Recent history, obviously, they've been better, and they do have the man, the magician himself, Lionel Messi, the best player in the world, but I can't separate these two teams. Even the more I look at it, the harder it is to predict this game, so I'm going to go for a 2-2. After that, we have Sporting up against Manchester City. This is going to be an interesting one, because Sporting are also a team that are in very good form. It's difficult because obviously it's their domestic league, so it's a different story compared to teams in the Champions League. And when you're comparing to teams like Manchester City, albeit not Champions League royalty, very much dominant in all aspects of football, really. So I think Manchester City are going to win this one, and I think it's going to be quite low scoring. Typically, when Sporting do win their games, it's like Man City, actually, in a lot of ways. It's 1-0s, it's 2-0s. They rarely blow teams away, but they're rarely troubled at the same time. So I think it's going to be a similar story for Sporting, but the other way around. My tip is going to be, my score prediction is going to be Manchester City to win 2-0. And my tip is Man City -1 at 1.83. I felt a little bit more comfortable going for the -1. However, obviously, it's Sporting score. It's a bit of a challenging one. But the only other tip I could think of to find some value was Man City to win 0 at 2.2. Whereas with this, obviously, -1 handicap, it allows for a Sporting goal, but Man City would have to score 3. So I wouldn't want the tip to be down and out immediately if Sporting score. So that is pretty much my logic behind choosing that tip as well. Now, after that, we have FC Salzburg up against Bayern Munich. To me, this game had one scoreline written all over it. I didn't do too much research on this game. I looked at the matchup and I said 3-1 to Bayern Munich, and that is the score that I'm sticking with. I then, after that, looked up the recent meetings between these two, and Bayern beat Salzburg 3-1 the last time they played him in the Champions League not too long ago. So I think it just lends itself perfectly to that scoreline. Bayern often score a load of goals, but they are susceptible to conceding 1 or 2 at the back. The thing is with Bayern is that it doesn't typically matter because they outscore teams so freely. So my tip is going to be Bayern Munich to win and both teams to score at 2.6. Now, after that, we have a very intriguing one. It's Inter Milan up against Liverpool. Inter Milan, along with Real Madrid actually, are probably, for me, one of the most impressive teams in Europe this season. Again, not exclusively the Champions League, but in their respective home league, Serie A as well. They look phenomenal. They look really, really well drilled and well equipped to just win games. Typically 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 even. They've won 3-0 a fair few times this season as well. And at home, they are going to give Liverpool some problems. However, it's Liverpool in Europe. And I know in previous recent seasons, they struggled in the group stage at the very least away from home. But like I said, it's Liverpool in Europe in the knockout stages, and Liverpool have never lost to Inter Milan. And I'm going to just shade it to Liverpool here. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I was tempted to go for a 1-1 draw, but I'm going to back Liverpool all the way because their European pedigree speaks for itself. And my tip is therefore going to be Liverpool to win at 2.05. I think these are the games where you could see Liverpool slip up. And when those games happen, it tends to be that Liverpool wins it quite comfortably. So I'm going to go for a Liverpool win. Coming up after that, we do have Chelsea up against Lille. And I think this is going to be one of the easier ones to predict. There's no disrespect here to Lille. But I just think Chelsea are going to win this one quite comfortably. Nothing crazy, no fireworks. But I'm going to go for 2-0 to Chelsea. And my tip is Chelsea halftime, Chelsea full-time at 2. I think it could very easily be Chelsea to be winning 1-0 at halftime and then 2-0 at full-time. But I don't think the goal will come early. I think it will come after the 30th minute, before half-time. Chelsea are like a 40th minute team. They love scoring right before the break, and I could see them doing it here in this one. Now, after that, it's Villarreal up against Juventus. This is very tricky. Very, very tricky to predict because Villarreal are really quite decent at home. I know they're really shining in the Europa League. They've shown before, and this is a cut above, of course, in the Champions League, and Juventus have made some fantastic signings in the January transfer window, but something tells me, away from home, Champions League knockouts, Juventus just haven't shown they've got the bottle, really. You'd expect what is typically looked at as the Italian giant. Like, if there's going to be a team in Italy to win the Champions League, it's Juventus, and they've really fallen short of those expectations in recent years. And whilst I think they will progress this tie, and playing at home in the second leg, you'd expect them to get a win, I think they're going to struggle. I think Villarreal are going to put up a really good fight in this fixture, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and my tip is both teams to score at 1.83. It's sort of shown as 50-50 as to whether or not both teams will score, and I can see it happening, albeit in a low-scoring, relatively speaking, game. After that, we have Atletico Madrid up against Manchester United. I mean, Diego Simeone. He's playing against Cristiano Ronaldo once again, and he's been haunted by Ronaldo in the past, wherever he's been, Juventus, Real Madrid. It's not been great. However, it's very difficult to differentiate between these two sides. Neither side, particularly, I would say, performing at the peak of their powers. But, again, I think it's a really difficult one. I would say, genuinely, it's probably 50-50 as to who goes through in this tie, overall in the two legs. In my head, you think, based on the two names of the teams, do you think Man United should progress this tie in the same way Juventus should progress against Villarreal, like we just discussed? However, with the recent sort of downturn in not even Man United form, just Man United morale in general, I would say it's very difficult to predict who's going to go through, and Atletico Madrid will certainly be up for it. The Wanda Metropolitano is one of the hardest places to travel away to and actually pick up a result, so I'm going to therefore sit on the fence. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the two teams. I think Man United will be happy with a draw away from home, and Atletico Madrid weirdly will take it. I think Man United would be happier because then it's in their hands at Old Trafford to progress, and Atletico Madrid would be glad not to give Man United a win in the first leg. So my tip is going to be draw at 3.25. Neither team will want to lose the first leg, and I think that's where this one's going. After that, we have Benfica up against Ajax. Ajax are absolutely storming it this season, scoring loads and loads of goals. And Benfica, I mean, they had a brilliant group stage, didn't they? They were responsible for knocking Barcelona essentially to the Europa League. Phenomenal achievement for Benfica. I think, weirdly, this is going to be a step too far for Benfica. I think I've underestimated Ajax a few times in the Champions League in the past. I think it's going to be actually quite convincing. Whilst they don't have perhaps their star players, they're still a brilliantly run club. I love their manager, and I think Ajax are going to win. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Ajax. However, if Benfica do pull out another performance like they did against Barcelona, for example, scoring loads of goals and winning convincingly, my tip is going to be over 2.5 goals at 1.72. That way it doesn't rely on any particular result or really any narrative other than just that there will be goals. And in Ajax games, you'd most definitely expect that. For example, just cast your mind back to the recent meetings with Borussia Dortmund. Absolutely tons of goals. And obviously Sebastian Haller, I feel like he had a pretty good AFCON as well. He'll be firing for Ajax, I'm sure. So I could definitely see there being a lot of goals in this fixture. So that is going to do it for the Champions League round of 16 predictions and tips. There's so many games. I think the one thing that's really gripping and enjoyable about the Champions League is that there's ties that as a neutral, I still really want to watch, almost as if it were my own team. PSG, Real Madrid, I'll want to watch. I think Salzburg and Bayern Munich will be entertaining, but I think that might be a highlight watcher because I'm just still not quite as invested in either of the two teams. Atletico Madrid, Man United, I'll want to watch that as well. So it's very exciting and I cannot wait. Please do drop a like on the video, leave your predictions down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video very soon.